I love this Back to the Future idea.
This is the Theme Park Loopy podcast.
Rip Ride Rockit is closing in September, early September, I believe. If you don't know, Rip Ride Rockit is a roller coaster at Universal Studios, at Universal Orlando Resort. I forget the manufacturer, but it's the X-Cars seat that we used to see at Drayton Manor when they had G-Force. Much better ride than G-Force, much more comfortable than G-Force. I used to be a big fan of Rip Ride Rockit. So I last rode Rip Ride Rockit less than 18 months ago, and I can tell you, it's a shadow of its former self. Really, really rattly, pretty rough. Still good, for the sound and the experience, etc., etc. It seems to break down quite a lot on the vertical lift hill now. So they've made the decision that it's going to close. Now, there's some rumours now about what's going to come next. They've already put permits in. It looks like there's going to be a show building, potentially maybe even 2 buildings, I think. At least 1 show building by the looks of it. Now, looking at the plans, it looks like, if you know the layout to Universal Studios over at Orlando, part of what they've marked out that's going to be part of the attraction is actually the Ghostbusters Firehouse. So one of the things that have been talked about is it going to be a Ghostbusters ride? Now, before the show, I was talking about how now that we're going to have Epic Universe, and Epic Universe is going to be this fantasy worlds of fantasy kind of thing. I think that Universal Studios is now thinking, let's go back to riding the movies. I think that's where they're going. So I think it's fair to say, based on what we've seen so far, that we're going to be looking at a kind of ride in the movies type attraction. So the first option is it going to be Ghostbusters? Now, you could say that could make sense based on that it looks like they're keeping the area where the firehouse is, but they were never that careful with the Ghostbusters IP anyway, because when they built Rip Ride Rockit, they literally put a hole through it and put Rip Ride Rockit through the firehouse. So it's not like, they lovingly look after the Ghostbusters, and they've not even got the logo there anymore, so you wouldn't even know it was the Ghostbusters Firehouse. Now, the other rumour is that potentially it could be a Fast and Furious ride, which I think is probably the most likely, because that's what we're getting over in California. Don't know why we need another Fast and the Furious ride, to be honest. It was always broken when I was there. And also, I did actually get to go in the queue line, because that's where the Chucky experience was during Halloween Horror Nights. So I did get to see the queue line, and they had, what was quite good is they actually had the video in the queue line and actually had Chucky in the video. So that was quite interesting, which I thought was an interesting spin on it. Never got to go on the ride though. And then also these other options potentially. Could we see things like Back to the Future? I've pitched this idea to multiple people at Universal when I was over there, because anyone who would listen, I kept saying, come on, let's have a Back to the Future launch coaster. It makes so much sense in a show building. Let's have fire either side. Let's see the car setting off. It'd be fantastic. I think that's a no-brainer, but Universal probably have other ideas. So, do we think it's the right thing to do to close Rip Ride Rockit? And what do we think could be coming next?
So from my point of view, completely agree that it's deteriorated with age. It's also, as you said, Ryan, it seems to be offline quite a lot. And I remember being really annoyed when it started to like slightly drizzle and they just took it offline immediately. Like, it can't handle any weather at all. So whatever happened, like, it would either need heavy maintenance or like a full refurb. So I guess, weighing up their options, they probably thought, well, we might as well make better use of the space. But from my point of view, it's a shame, because it's such a unique roller coaster with loads of weird things you don't really get like elsewhere. Like, it doesn't stop. You've got to sort of kind of get on it and get ready and put your harness down. The seat itself is weird because it's got the speakers and it's quite sort of far back, and you've got that harness to get around you, and it's all weird. Like, you don't get those harnesses anywhere else. You can get a video of yourself on the ride, which is all part of the experience. You can pay for that afterwards. You can choose your music. It does that. Obviously, it lifts up vertically from the get-go, so your first experience with it is sort of going right on your back. and sort of feeling like, you know, it's a good job you're strapped in tightly, because you feel like you might just fall backwards, which is again, it's a weird experience but really good fun. And there's just loads about it. Like, it doesn't go upside down on that first loop. It sort of twizzles you around, so that you're always the right way up. And then afterwards, you get a really good like ride around quite a good part of the park. Like, you can see lots of different things on route. So I'll be sad to see it go. And at night, it looks amazing. Like, lit up, it just looks, you know, if you're there for Halloween Horror Nights, it just looks like this amazing central point. You can always find your friends around, and just all you queue under the lights, and you can get some amazing photos. So I'll really miss it. I think it was a good ride, needed work. I'll be sad to see it go.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a weird camp about this, because every time I've queued up for that ride, it is broken down, and it's usually right as I'm at the air gates. I'll be at the air gates or just before, and I've listened to that Oster, whatever it is they say. I'm sure it's like Oster, but it's over and over and over again. And you know, you queue up, yeah, Oster, and everyone's going, "What does Oster even mean? I don't know." And then you hear all the rumors. Oh, it's Spanish. I don't actually know if it is Spanish, but we need to fact check that. But anyway, you're there, you're at the air gates, and then suddenly, I actually think it might be a made-up word. Anyway, it then suddenly breaks down when you're at the air gates, right? That is always historically my relationship when it comes to Rip Ride Rockit. However, I completely agree with you, Dan. I think it was unique. I think it was interesting. I loved that they had all the secret menus that you could find online to get your wonderful music that you wanted. And, you know, you'd always think, oh, I'm going to choose something really different for this ride. And then you always choose the same one. For me, it was Limp Bizkit Rolling, right? No matter how many times I go back on that, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to do Madonna this time. No, I'm not. I'm going to do Rolling, because what if Madonna is different to Rolling? You know, kind of like going to McDonald's. You know, sometimes you want to try the new menu, but you never do, because you still get your chicken burger, your Malaysian curry. So yeah. So anyway, I think it's a great ride, but it has had its time. And also, I think something else could be put in there to do that is more prominent, or a classic IP. I love this Back to the Future idea, Ryan. I think that's a great idea. And I agree with you. I think Universal Studios will be getting back to the old ways of writing the movies, 100%.